There's only one tool you can really count on to tell successful stories in any medium: truth. So how does that work in a medium like wrestling that's built entirely on lies? I'll look at some of the best wrestling angles of all time that were built on reality, and even a time that things went too far. Today on Wrestling with Story. On this week's episode of WWE Monday Night Raw, we got the first full segment of the Wyatt Six saga. In it, the horrifying Uncle Howdy, played by Taylor Rotunda, sat down for a one-on-one interview with Taylor Rotunda. Okay, so this supernatural character sat down for a conversation with himself. But what they talked about was fascinating. They went into the shocking death of Taylor's brother Wyndham, better known as Bray Wyatt. Taylor talked about how disappointed he was with his career and how he felt like he had to honor his brother somehow, explaining to the audience in a roundabout way why this entire story exists in the first place. He spoke to a place of truth that grounded this extremely outlandish angle in a place of pure, unadulterated reality. To say it was riveting is an understatement, but more importantly, it set a framework for how these characters are going to work week in, week out, that is believable and has a true emotional core. Something that, for all the smoke machines and flashing lights and dead bodies of their initial debut, the Wyatt Six were sorely lacking. Alright, next, let's go back to Mrs. Foley's baby boy, Mick Foley. In May of 1997, Mick Foley, then in the guise of the disfigured and disturbed Mankind character, sat with good old JR, Jim Ross, for a series of interviews where the audience got to know the man beneath the mask. For some, they already knew Mick Foley for his time in ECW, but for the vast majority, they were getting a look at the charismatic Foley for the first time. He told stories about his youth spent dreaming of being the Shawn Michaels-esque Dude Love, but instead being saddled with the grotesque Cactus Jack and Mankind personalities. He talked about the legitimate injuries he suffered, all in the name of the sport he loved. Despite staying mostly in character the entire series of interviews, he spoke from a place of reality that resonated with the audience. And then something weird happened. Not only did Mankind become a babyface, but he even got to transition out of the Mankind character and into his childhood Dude Love persona. At one point, wrestling as Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love all on the same night. This extremely grounded, truthful interview netted a huge win. It transformed what should have been another of The Undertaker's forgettable rivals into one of the biggest household names in professional wrestling. Then there's the most famous truth-telling of all time, the pipe bomb. June 27th, 2011. A frustrated CM Punk is given a chance by a then young Triple H and apparently a very reluctant Vince McMahon to deliver one of his trademark tirade promos. But rather than directed at his opponents or at the fans, he was allowed to aim it squarely at the company. So he went after the WWE, he went after Vince, and he went after Triple H. He talked about the broken and corrupt system that stifled talent and creativity, and the frustration that he was genuinely feeling on a day-to-day basis. And he did it all while John Cena laid down awkwardly in the ring, unsure what he was supposed to be doing. Everything Punk was saying was, to say the least, inside baseball. But, thanks to the internet wrestling community, very little of it was a secret. Most of it was well known, or at least suspected. The very act of saying it on WWE television is breathtakingly shocking to watch, even today. For all that Punk has done before and since, I genuinely believe that this promo is why people will eternally chant his name. And then sometimes, using the truth and reality as the basis for your stories can go horribly wrong. Take, for example, the story of Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. Randy Savage was managed by his real-life wife, Miss Elizabeth. In reality, Randy was painfully jealous of any attention Elizabeth got from, well, anybody. The bookers decided to use this for an angle, having Hulk Hogan save Miss Elizabeth when she got injured during a match. And Randy became wild with jealousy, leading to the breakup of their Mega Powers tag team. It all led the way to an iconic match at WrestleMania 5. But the thing is, Randy grew genuinely paranoid about the relationship between Hogan and Elizabeth, pretty much destroying their friendship in real life. It led to them almost coming to blows, and ultimately, maybe not causing, but certainly paving the way for the divorce of Savage and Elizabeth. There's a lot more that happened to them that I don't want to get into, but just know that their lives were intertwined until they both passed away far too young from individually tragic circumstances. Look, the consequences of that story are pretty bleak. Using truth as the basis for the story still led to one of the most captivating and memorable stories of all time. The fact remains that at the core of every great story that stands the test of time is at least a single kernel of truth. We respond to it, we savor it, and frankly, we need it as an audience to truly give ourselves over and fully enjoy anything we watch, even wrestling. If you want to hear more about writing and wrestling, click subscribe, and please like and share this video so I can keep making more. We'll see you next time on Wrestling with Story.